All right, well, we just found out Joel Embiid out for Game 2, will not be available for Game 2 in the Garden against the Knicks. Oh, man, what does it mean for the rest of the Eastern Conference playoffs? What does it mean for the future of this core of the Philadelphia 76ers? I don't know. But I do know we got to call for an ISO! Yeah, welcome to the ISO show, coming to you on a Wednesday, a Game 2 Wednesday, Game 2 tonight in Madison Square Garden between the Knicks and the Sixers. Recording this at about 4 p.m. on Wednesday. A couple hours ago, we just found out Joel Embiid out for Game 2 will be unavailable. I think the official announcement was due to multiple injuries. As we know, Joel Embiid suffers from all sorts of different injuries and has over the course of his career, which is why, despite how scary they looked at the end of that Boston Celtics series, I still kind of felt that Philadelphia was the better matchup just because of the uncertainty surrounding Joel Embiid's health. And that seems to be flaring up and coming to pass right now. But let's start off the show with another shout-out. Last episode, we shouted out Dante DiVincenzo. This episode, no tribute video, but I do want to shout out Jose Ortiz, Puerto Rican basketball legend who passed away today. Was a part of the team that gave the USA their first international loss while playing with professional players, which ultimately led to the Dream Team, the Dream Team number 2 collapsing, which was a disaster, which was very upsetting for me. Although, you know, I was excited about the Puerto Rican team picking up a win. I ultimately want to see USA basketball do well. So the one traumatizing year where they did not get the gold was still very upsetting for me. But Jose Ortiz, Oregon State basketball legend, was drafted by the Utah Jazz. We won't talk about that. We don't need to talk about the Jazz. Played overseas for a few years in the FIBA International Basketball Hall of Fame. Passed away today. Just wanted to give a shout out to him. Basketball legends will be honored on the ISO show at all times. So shout out to him. R.I.P., rest in power, salute to the fam, and we will continue on with the show. And we'll continue on in the direction of another big man, Joel Embiid. Out for Game 2. Obviously, the Knicks catch a little bit of a break. But it makes me question the way that Nick Nurse managed Game 1. Because I got a lot of smoke for Nick Nurse after Game 1. And, you know, full disclosure, I'm upset with Nick Nurse, very much so because my Sixers first quarter pick didn't play out, and I felt like I had it read, and I felt like Nick Nurse mucked the whole game up for no reason. But if you go back to Game 1, the way that it got started off, I assumed it'd be a feeling out process, which is kind of how it was going. It seemed like it was a back and forth type of game for the first half of the first quarter. Jalen Brunson was cooking from the jump. Sixers had no answers. They started out with Oubre. Then they moved Paul George onto him. No one could stop him. But on the other end, to start off the game, the Sixers were finding some things on offense. Joel Embiid obviously got Karl Anthony Towns into early foul trouble. 2 fouls in like the first 6 or 7 minutes. Not that tough to get Karl Anthony Towns into early foul trouble. That's kind of what Karl Anthony Towns is known for. But especially when you're going up against somebody who's going to draw fouls the way Joel Embiid does, we knew Karl Anthony Towns was going to be in trouble. But Nick Nurse, I got to say, I don't know that he made the right move in going to the Mitchell Robinson foul protocol so early on. Because to me, when you're in a 7-game series, game one of a 7-game series, first quarter of game one of a 7-game series, I mean, these NBA playoff series, we understand that they're long and they could take all types of twists and turns. It's a journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint, as they say. And for me, if I'm Nick Nurse, at some point I'm going to have to figure out how to stop Jalen Brunson. And in the first quarter of game one, to turn to the Mitchell Robinson hack protocol instead of figuring out how to foul Jalen Brunson, I feel like was a terrible mistake. Yes, you get yourself a couple of possessions off while Mitch is clanging the ball off the backboard from the free throw line because he's abominable when it comes to shooting free throws. We all understand that. But at the same time, you took your entire team's offense out of rhythm as well. Like, yeah, you got the benefit of, okay, Jalen Brunson's out of rhythm for a couple possessions while Mitch is throwing the ball off the backboard. But then Mike Brown takes Mitch out of the game, and Jalen Brunson goes right back to cooking. Meanwhile, the Sixers, who were sort of finding a little bit of a flow between Embiid playing in the post against Cat, and Paul George hit an early three. VJ Edgecombe also hit an early three. Once they took Mitch out, the fouling stopped. The Sixers could not find their offense once again. They were missing shots. The Knicks were hitting everything, they were shooting damn near 70% for the entire game. I think it fell down to 60-something by the time the game was over. But for the meat of that game, they were shooting damn near 60% from three, 70% from the field. You can't expect that to continue. And to me, if I'm Nick Nurse, I think it's a panic move, and it's way premature in the first quarter of game one to be doing that, fouling Mitchell Robinson, put him into the line. If Mitchell Robinson is on the floor and he's killing you and he's all over the offensive boards and you're an undersized team and you can't stop him, yeah, you got to get him off the floor, and you got to get him off the floor immediately. I understand that. But that obviously is not the case with the Sixers when you have Joel Embiid in the game and you've already drawn 2 fouls on Cat. Now you could let Embiid try to go to work on Mitchell Robinson and draw fouls on him, as opposed to, which ended up happening, but it was almost by luck because it seemed like Nick Nurse's priority was to just put Mitch on the line and get him out of the game. For what reason, I don't know, because as soon as Ariel Hukporti comes into the game after they take Mitch out, all of a sudden they had like 2 consecutive 76ers possessions that Joel Embiid was not involved. So I don't really know what Nick Nurse's strategy was there, but to me that was the beginning of the end. Shortly thereafter, Sixers couldn't find their offense again. Jalen Brunson kept cooking. I think he had 27 in the first half. They had no answer for him, and they never found an answer because they were too busy playing the hack Mitchell Robinson game. So I thought that was a mistake. We'll see what approach they take in game 2. I think it's going to be a very different Sixers offense. Obviously, without Embiid, he's such a pivotal part of what they want to do on offense when he's in the game. Now that he's not going to be in the game, I definitely like Paul George to take a more prominent role. I saw most recently his points prop was over 18.5. I'd probably be looking to go over that. I think you might get a 20-point Paul George game. Sixers are going to have to get scoring from somewhere. They don't run a particularly long, deep rotation, which is probably largely why Joel Embiid is struggling to stay healthy because, putting those types of minutes on him, given his injury history, I feel like was tough to manage. But I do understand and appreciate and respect the challenges that Nick Nurse is facing and how to manage minutes and personalities and all that stuff. He does not have an easy job on his hands. But when it comes to simple basketball stuff, to me, that's X's and O's stuff. You got to figure out a way to stop Jalen Brunson. That is the priority going into a series like that, is how are we going to defend Jalen Brunson? They didn't have answers off the bat, and they never found answers. So now they're right back where they started in square one going into game 2. And now they're even set back even further because there's no Embiid. There's no rim protection. Obviously, Andre Drummond is not going to be a rim protector. We don't know what you're going to get out of him. Is it going to be a Dembona? I don't know. Tough look for the Sixers. And this is the thing. This is the variable because I'll be honest with you with my boy. Shout him out again. I said it last episode. My boy Word Life, when he hit me up before Game 7, was like, yo, what do you think? Should the Knicks prefer to face off against the Celtics or the Sixers? I said Sixers, and that was before Jason Tatum went out. Once Tatum was out, Sixers looked good. I was thinking to myself, damn, I might have been wrong on that one. Maybe they might have been better off facing against the Celtics. I had no idea that Tatum was a potential out. I always knew Embiid was a potential out, which is why I was leaning towards the Sixers being the better opponent. And thankfully, well, not thankfully, but at minimum, I feel like I at least was on top of that because lo and behold, Embiid lasts one game. Just like I said last episode, he still has yet to complete a series. He didn't complete the entire Celtics series. He's already missing Game 2 in the Knicks series. So I feel like if you're the Knicks, you got to feel good about the uncertainty and the sort of adjustments that the Sixers are going to have to make. Feel like if you're the Knicks, if you're Mike Brown, you just keep the status quo and you force Nick Nurse to adjust, and then you make adjustments to his adjustments. But right now, Knicks definitely in the driver's seat, for the entire Eastern Conference. Neither the Detroit Pistons nor the Cavs looked particularly formidable last night, and even in their prior series, both going to 7 against what I think were extremely flawed and borderline mediocre opponents. So you got to feel good if you're a Knicks fan. I just want to see some good management out of Mike Brown. Like I said, going into the series, I thought it was going to be a big Mike Brown series, and I think at least based off of Game 1, I got to give him a check, got to give him a satisfactory. I won't go A+, but I was happy to see that Mike Brown was not too afraid to play Mitchell Robinson, because it seemed like he was completely shook about putting Mitchell Robinson on the free throw line in the previous series. I thought that he could have went big against Atlanta because they have no answers, and he just seemed afraid to do that. And I thought that might have been a mistake, but we'll see how he takes the approach to facing an Embiid-less Sixers team. But I don't think that the Sixers are totally dead without Embiid. I mean, they could win this game. I think they'll compete for sure. I obviously would pick the Knicks. I'm going to pick the Knicks to win. And I'm going to pick the Knicks to pick the Knicks to cover the 10.5 points. But I would not be shocked if the Sixers come out fierce. I'm tempted to go Sixers first quarter again. I was 100% going Sixers first quarter again if Embiid was in. I'm still tempted to do it because you're going to get a better number, probably about 3.5, 4.5. And I do think that in the first quarter, I expect the Sixers to come out with some pride. Like I said, I expect Paul George to sort of take a little bit more of a involvement role with the offense. And I think they're going to come out and at least try to get out to a lead, or at least keep it close through the fourth quarter after getting smacked up in Game 1. Plus, the Knicks will have to make some adjustments because there's a big difference between defending a team that has Embiid in the fold involved and defending a team that is going to be largely run through the guards and Maxey, Edgecombe, and Paul George. So the Knicks will probably have some adjustments to make in the first quarter. So I still kind of like the Sixers first quarter angle of it. But it's tricky. It's tricky to tell without Embiid. I would have loved an Embiid first basket if he was playing too. But anyway, can't harp on that stuff. No Embiid. Sorry, Sixers fans. Sorry, Philly. Maybe he'll be back for Game 3. Maybe you'll see him back at the crib when the series makes it back to Philadelphia. But until then, I don't know. Could be another smack up coming in Game 2. But we'll see. I don't know. Maybe we'll see more Quentin Grimes. I like the Quentin Grimes overs angle. I definitely I thought that the Maxey 2.5 threes is easy money. I would definitely go Maxey over 2.5 threes. So we'll recap some plays and picks at the end of the episode. But that's where I'm at when it comes to Knicks Sixers. And then the other game of the night, Wednesday night, we got Game 2. Wemby needs a redemption. I think the Spurs are going to slap the Wolves up. I wasn't surprised. I thought that that 13.5 point line without Ant, and I think the line stayed 9.5, 10.5 point spread even when Ant was announced in, coming off of the bench. The way that the Wolves have been playing and with the job that Chris Finch has been doing coaching the Wolves up, he seems to be pressing all the right buttons. I thought that was a crazy spread, and I wasn't shocked to see them win the game. But I do think that the Spurs will come back and smack them up in this next game. Traditionally, when you have a high seed, like a 1 or a 2 seed that loses game 1, for the most part, game 2 they come back and smack teams up. We just seen that last round when the Magic picked off the Pistons in game 1. Pistons came back game 2, smacked them up. So I expect that to be where the Spurs are going to go where the Spurs will be tonight. I think they're going to smack the Wolves up. I'm taking the Spurs on the spread. I don't know what it is. The last I saw, as long as it's less than 10, I'm going to be all over that. I think it's a Wemby-Memby game. I think he's going to smack the Wolves up. And clearly it looked as though Ant was a little deconditioned. He looked a little winded, a little gassed off of just 25 minutes. Hasn't played in a while. He may be better in game 2, but I still think that the Spurs are going to look to make a statement and at least hold home court for game 2. I think you're going to get a better bounce-back game from De'Aaron Fox. Didn't have a great game 1. And I think Wemby will be more involved with the scoring. I mean, 12 blocks is just crazy, obviously. We've never seen anything like this guy. It's just ridiculous. And Chris Finch can complain all he wants about that they were goaltends or whatever. I mean, what are you going to do? This guy's an alien. It's crazy. But 12 blocks is just nuts. I mean, one of them, he blocked it twice. Like, he blocked it with his left hand and then tried to catch it with his right hand. This nigga's playing volleyball. But looking forward to seeing what the Spurs can do. But, I mean, the Wolves are dangerous. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Wolves remain competitive in the series. I just think this game specifically, I'm expecting a Spurs bounce back. And if they don't bounce back, it's a wrap. If the Wolves smack the Spurs up again in game 2, and then they're going back to Minnesota, that could get ugly. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say they might win the next 2 and they don't get back to San Antonio, but you know, sometimes we see these teams. I think people had a lot of high hopes for the Spurs because of the way that they played in the regular season. A little bit of a coming out party for Wemby. Obviously, Stephon Castle has been great, but you know, these are these teams that they have not been through these long 7-game wars that are the NBA postseason. It's just a whole different type of ball game that a lot of these young players and even the fans. It surprises me when fans who were longtime fans of the NBA are surprised when they see a team that has not had postseason success continue to not have postseason success. Like, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see a young team like the Spurs get smacked up. I mean, they were struggling with Portland. The Wolves are infinitely better than Portland, and Wolves have infinitely more most recent postseason experience. This is a Wolves team that's been to multiple conference finals, so I just feel like they know what to do. So the Spurs are definitely in for some trouble if they don't smack the Wolves up in this game, too. It's going to be crucial for them to really make a statement there. And then recapping last night's games, the other 2 series taking place. Cavs-Detroit, I really don't know what to make of it. I expected the Cavs to play better than they did. Maybe I'm a fool, but I kind of was expecting Harden to play better. I think, you know, obviously Harden has a reputation for not particularly performing, not excelling in the postseason. Personally, there's no disputing his failures, but I think it's very easy to point at the record, point at the statistics, but I do think that some of the context gets forgotten when it comes to James Harden and his postseason lack thereof success, but can't really defend Harden after last night. It was a rough night. They were on the road coming off of a Game 7, so those typically tend to be tough Game 1s to win. We'll see how they bounce back in Game 2 tomorrow, but not a great start for the Cavs. I appreciate Donovan Mitchell saying that because Donovan Mitchell has not been getting to the free throw line. I think that the Cavs need him to get need him to get there. He was asked about it by reporters. And he said, "Well, I don't flop," which obviously has become a big topic of conversation ever since Jaylen Brown was complaining about Embiid flopping on his while he was playing Fortnite or whatever he was doing on Twitch. So flopping is not what Donovan Mitchell likes to do, but it's hard for you to say I don't flop when your running mate right next to you, James Harden, is the king of the drawing of the fouls and the flailing. So, unfortunately, sometimes to a certain degree, I don't want to cape up for flopping and for foul baiting and free throw merchants like SGA, but I think there's a fine line. I can appreciate the art of getting a defender off balance and having someone who can't control their body and using that to your advantage to get to the free throw line. But a lot of the times when these dudes are clearly not even remotely making an attempt to shoot, they're prioritizing priority number one, get to the free throw line, make a basket is number two. That can get a little frustrating. But as far as Donovan Mitchell goes, he needs to just put up numbers, and he needs to be a leader for this team. Because if this Cavs team gets knocked down by Detroit, as much as I respect Detroit, they, like the Spurs, are another one of these young up and coming teams. Obviously, a lot of people really kind of started to pay attention to Detroit last year after that 6-game series with the Knicks. But at the end of the day, it was a 6-game series, and it was a first-round series. It's not like they went into some deep, long playoff run and they're rugged and tested in that type of way. They play a rugged, physical brand of basketball that you can expect to translate well to the postseason. But until you've gone through these series, it still is not the same. It still does not translate. We've seen how they got, how they had trouble with the Magic, a team who has a little bit more postseason experience than they do. And now you're looking at the Cavs. Obviously, James Harden, ton of postseason experience. Same thing for Donovan Mitchell. This Cavs team, a lot of the pieces are still in place of these teams that have been, kind of falling short in the postseason the last few years. I kind of feel like if this isn't the year that the Cavs can at least get to an Eastern Conference Finals, if they can at least get past Detroit, like I said, no disrespect to Detroit, but we've seen how vulnerable they can be. They got pushed to 7 by a team that was in the play-in in the Magic. You got to figure that the Cavs should have a better chance to knock off the Pistons and the Magic. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on the Cavs game 2 for sure to see if they, again, if they go down 0-2 and still haven't played a home game, it doesn't mean anything. But if the Cavs go down 0-2 and are headed towards another 7-game series, that might be a tough look for them. And I don't know where they go from here with James Harden, and it might be time to blow the whole thing up. The whole double big with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, I've never loved it, but they've stayed committed to it. I don't know if they come back into next season with that double big if they're not able to get past Detroit, but we shall see. And then, of course, the last game of the night, sad to say, Lakers got slapped up by OKC. OKC's just slapping everybody up. We understand the well-oiled machine that OKC is. I'm not going to hate on them. But I will say, man, I kind of feel bad for LeBron, but LeBron is out there, man. He's still out there getting his old man game on, doing his thing. I still feel like just getting past Houston the way that they did, very short-handed, up-and-coming Houston team, especially an up-and-coming Houston team and that is coached to hate LeBron, because obviously we understand Ime Udoka has no love for LeBron. He's always, disrespecting him to his face, courtside and all that stuff. So for LeBron to go in there with Luke Kennard and LaRavia and all these cats and end up smoking the Rockets was a feat in and of itself. But trying to take on OKC is a whole nother animal. And they were able to kind of flirt with the cover. They didn't cover the game. I think they lost by 18. I think the spread was 16, something like that. So they fell short of the cover. We'll see if they can do something game 2. And obviously there's the Luka question. Doesn't seem like Luke is coming back anytime soon, but If he does, then the series can get interesting. But in order for that to happen, I kind of feel like the Lakers really got to put up a strong fight in Game 2, because they go down 0-2. I think it becomes a lot less likely that you're going to see Luka really try to push it to make it to the rest of the series if they're already in a 0-2, 0-3 hole. I don't think Luka's going to go out there on a bad leg or whatever it is, risk further injury. So another interesting thing, we got to see what happens with the Lakers. What does this series result mean long term in terms of whether or not LeBron stays with LA, whether he goes, whether he takes Bronny with him, who knows? But I think we can probably expect to see another OKC. I'm looking forward to an OKC Spurs 7-game Western Conference Finals. I mean, obviously, it's no guarantee that it goes 7-game, but I could see it going 7-game just with the way that those two teams match up. But I'm definitely not counting out Minnesota. There's a part of me that feels like it's gonna I'm not really taking too much out of Game 2 Spurs-Wolves, just because I fully just expect the Spurs to give their best bounce-back effort and smack them up and win the game. And I feel like the Wolves, coming off of that super-duper high against Denver and then winning that game on the road towards the end against San Antonio, I feel like this might be a moment where you see the Wolves relax, chill, let their guard down a little bit. Meanwhile, the Spurs are, headed towards desperation mode. So I think they're going to come out and just smoke them. But then once the Wolves get back to Minnesota Game 3, we'll see. I haven't ruled the Wolves out. I mean, obviously, how could you rule the Wolves out? They're up 1-0 in the series. But that one could go either way. It's going to be a real delicate balance to see how the next two games between Game 2 and Game 3, how that plays out for forecasting and foreshadowing the rest of that series. But should be good, man. I'm hoping for I'd like to see, as much as I think that the Cavs should have the upper hand on Detroit, I personally am rooting to see a Knicks Pistons second year in a row playoff rematch. I expect the Knicks to win. I think the Knicks are rightfully favored to come out of the East now that Boston has been bounced and with the way that the other teams have been looking. But, I'm not ready to just say that the Knicks are automatically going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals or the Finals, because we've seen them kind of not show up in Games 2. It seems like the Knicks, even the way that they played in the previous series, it seems like these Knicks, they need to be pushed. They need to be pushed against the wall. They need to be, backs against the wall, against all odds, to really get the best performances out of them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Philly put up a big fight. And if, who knows, whether Embiid comes back for Game 3 or not, I think it's very possible that Philly takes Game 3, just because the Knicks have not shown that they bring that type of sense of urgency when they're up in a series. But we'll see. I'll be impressed if the Knicks continue to keep the foot on the gas, and they're in locked in playoff mode. Then maybe we change our tune. Maybe we start to up the expectations. But as of right now, I still feel like this would be a good opportunity for the Knicks to try to maximize what they can build Mikal Bridges back up into, and how they can figure out how to solve some of these matchup issues and stuff like that. But so now we'll close out the show with some picks for tonight, Wednesday night. Like I said, I'm gonna take a little drip. Not gonna go full heavy betting, but I'm gonna take a little drip on the Sixers to cover the first quarter spread. I'm taking the Knicks to cover the full game spread. And I'm taking the Spurs to cover the spread tonight against the Wolves in a bounce back. Those are going to be my 3 plays. We're not going to break the Undertaker out just yet. I was perusing some of the prop lines. There were a couple ones that I was interested in, but we don't really have consensus odds. But the Undertaker's going to make an appearance pretty soon. I can feel it. But until then, enjoy the night's games. We're going to do another show probably tomorrow. If not tomorrow, definitely on Friday, because Friday's a big day. We're going to have the WNBA kicking off their season. I'm probably going to try to put together a full show for a WNBA season preview. I'm excited for that. Playoffs keep going. Salute to Jose Ortiz, RIP. And until then, you already know. Peace!